She's just turned 40, so a big happy birthday to Lilibet. And Meghan marked the occasion by posting 2 quite intimate pictures, and one of which is almost Lilibet's whole face, which we haven't seen in years. This is quite a departure from their previous attitude towards sharing pictures of the kids. What do we think?
I like your definition of almost the full face. I mean, you know, I'm dubbing Lilibet the jigsaw girl, because over the 4 years, all we've seen is an ankle, an arm, a bit of a nose, maybe a forehead. I didn't think it was a great picture, to be perfect. I was much more interested in the picture that she released of Lilibet when she was barely born.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a really nice picture, and I thought it came across very well in black and white. The other one, you know, with her arms all over her face practically and everything else, didn't do anything for me. You know, I'm all for them protecting their children. I've got no problems with that as well. But, you know, this sort of half bits of the child, it doesn't do anything for me.
Well, the last time we had a proper portrait of Lilibet released was 3 years ago to mark her first birthday. And that was taken in the grounds of Frogmore Cottage, where they held a party for Lily's birthday. They were over for the late Queen's Platinum Jubilee celebrations. But apart from that, we haven't really seen her face. We see the backs of them. It was Archie's birthday last month. We saw a picture of him looking out over a sunset, didn't we? This one, Meghan's got kind of her hair blowing. It looks to me like they might be on a boat, potentially, and she's got her arms around Lily. But I agree that the much more interesting photo, actually, which is really intimate and really personal, is that skin-to-skin moment between mother and newborn baby, Meghan cradling her in her arms. Looks like she's just been born. And, of course, you know, we do know so little about Lilibet because they moved to California. They are very protective over their children's privacy, and they have every right to do so. We know that their safety is a huge issue. But these little glimpses, not forgetting we saw her in a little beekeeper suit last week.
I was just going to say, I mean, that was the way that picture came out, was her fully covered in a beekeeper suit. You just think, what is from the back? You couldn't even see anything through the net because it was from the back, and you just think, what was the point of that?
They're releasing bits of the kids, but in a very guarded way still. But you know, both Harry and Meghan have been accused in the past of hypocrisy in this area, and I'm interested in both of your view, because as a parent, of course, I do understand it is completely your prerogative what you share of your children online. They have said things in the past about their privacy, and then now Meghan, having launched her Instagram in January, she has been releasing more and more of the kids, which is her decision. But do you feel that there's any hypocrisy in that, or do you think it's fair play now that she has her own social media?
I think it's fair play now, actually, because they are no longer working members of the royal family. I think with the Waleses, they recognise that their children are going to play a part in public life.
I agree.
And they are being funded by the public as well. And they are going to take on significant roles in the future of the country and the monarchy, and therefore they recognise that they need to share. But they're also quite careful about when they share those moments of their children's lives, and there are pretty stringent restrictions on what can be shown and what can't. With Harry and Meghan, of course we'd all love to see more because we're really interested in those little children. But I think it's entirely fair that they say, you know what, it's on our terms. And that's what this is, very much on their terms. Meghan on her own platform, the images they choose to curate.
I think I agree with Sarah. I mean, much and all as I would like to see a proper picture of both Archie and Lilibet. You know, I understand fully that they want to protect the children. I mean, we live in a social media world now where everything that happens is commented on, usually by nutters around the world who say vile and evil things. We can't seem to stop it. So I don't have any real problem with it. And again, I agree with Sarah about William and Catherine. You know, their children are eventually going to be on the royal treadmill, but they are very cautious with the times that the children, you know, have access to the public, or the public have access to them.
Absolutely. And look, there's a lot to discuss there with the Sussexes as always, but we do have to move on. Before we do, very briefly, there's been a report this week that Prince Harry was considering changing his name to Spencer. Obviously, that's the name of his late mother, Princess Diana, and it would presumably mean that he was ditching the family name Mountbatten-Windsor, and obviously comes at a time where relations between Harry and the royal family seem to be at an all-time low. He ultimately decided against the move, according to this report, but the fact he even considered it sends quite a message.
Yes, it does. And I think as well that this is another Harry not knowing what he wants to do. It was only, less than a month ago that he was pleading for a reconciliation with his father and his brother. And the next thing we hear, and I think the story was well sourced, and the next thing we hear, he wants to change the name from Mountbatten-Windsor to Spencer. Well, that is sending a terrible message to the royal family that he doesn't really want a reconciliation. He wants to be completely severed from the royal family. And I think the king should grant his wish. I think he should sever him from the royal family.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is really sad if this is true. We don't know exactly when this conversation happened, but it's reported to have been during a recent visit back to the UK. He was advised by his uncle, Earl Spencer, Diana's younger brother, that it just would be legally insurmountable to do so. And I mean, I didn't see this one coming. I don't know about you, Charles, because there's been so much controversy over the use of the name Sussex and whether or not they still have the right to do so. And Meghan saying, look, I'm a Sussex now. But that they might have considered changing their name to Spencer. Why? I mean, is it to send a message to the royal family? Is it to say, OK, fine, you don't want to talk to us, then we're not a part of this anymore? Is it because he feels much closer to his Spencer relatives? They are the ones who turned up for the 10th anniversary Invictus service at St Paul's, for example. There weren't any members of the royal family there. Is it to honour his mother? Some more cynical commentators have suggested, well, it would be very good marketing in the United States to have the Spencer name, and Lilibet would then be Lilibet Diana Spencer.
It's also, I mean, you mentioned it there as well. I wondered if it had any connection to that rather awkward scene in With Love, Meghan, when Meghan corrected Mindy Kaling on the last name and said, well, I'm not Markle anymore, I'm Sussex now. And then there was confusion about whether that's actually her last name. Could it be related to that? Because it would be, presumably Meghan would then also be Spencer.
Well, no, the royals tend, if they get a title, that as Prince William did, he was William of Wales, and Harry was Harry Wales when he was at school. So he gets married and he gets conferred a title, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. He then instantly becomes Harry Sussex. So that's the way it works. Although he still has, in the background, he is still a Mountbatten-Windsor, as are that's the royal dynasty. So I don't think it's that confusing as such. I just don't understand why he'd want to change his name to Spencer. I do understand, because if the story is correct, then it is sending a huge message to the royal family. I'm not really interested in the reconciliation. It's never going to happen. I may as well not bother with it at all.